My friend Senatila McKinley is a deacon at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Waldport, Oregon. And Senatila was born on a small island in the Tonga nation of Tonga in the South Pacific. And she's known as the Mother Teresa of Waldport. If you are hungry and don't have any money, you go to Senatila. If you need a place to stay, you go to Senatila. If English is not your first language and you need to learn, you go to Senatila. And on Sunday mornings when Senatila comes down the aisle of the church with holding the gospel, the book up in her hand, she always comes in barefoot. Now, she's a Tongan woman, and she's got these big, brown, sturdy feet, and you can't miss that she's walking into church barefoot. And when people ask her, why do you come barefoot to church? She says, well, because church is holy ground. And God told Moses, you are standing on holy ground, so take the sandals off of your feet. And of course, she's referring to our Old Testament story today. Moses has fled from Egypt, where he's wanted for murder, and he's gone into the desert, and he's joined a tribe there, and he's gotten married, and now he's a shepherd. And he's bringing his sheep through the wilderness. These are the sheep of his father-in-law, Jethro. And one day, Moses takes the flock a little further than he usually does, and he comes to the bottom of the mountain of God, Mount Horeb. And he looks off to the side, and he sees a bush that's on fire. That's a little strange to see a bush in the middle of nowhere flaming, but what really catches his eye is that it doesn't go out. It just keeps burning and burning. This little shrub doesn't seem to be used up. It just keeps burning. So Moses turns aside to see this bush. Well, once he turns aside, then God speaks to him out of the bush. He says, Moses, Moses. The story makes a big deal that God doesn't speak to him until he turns aside. He has to turn aside before God speaks to him. And then God calls his name. God says, take off your sandals, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. When you are in the presence of the Almighty, you are on holy ground. Ordinary things don't apply now. Your sandals are getting in the way. You need to feel the earth beneath your feet. You need to be in contact with the elements. God is God, and you are just a human being, a creature of the earth. So humble yourself now. You are on holy ground. I think that's what Senatila is trying to communicate when she comes down the aisle barefoot with the gospel. This is holy ground. God is in this place. And when we're here, we're on holy ground. Usually, I keep my shoes on in church. Feet are kind of a personal thing. My feet are not always pretty, and I worry that they might smell, so I keep my shoes on. But I wonder what I might be missing. I remember when I was a kid, we would walk barefoot to the swimming pool, which is a couple of blocks away. And I remember how prickly the dry grass was when we crossed the lawns, and how hot and soft the asphalt was when we crossed 31st Street to get to the park, and how cool the green grass was when we got across the other side. My feet have memories. Now I'm grown up and I wear shoes all the time. But I wonder what I might be missing. Poor people often go barefoot. Indigenous peoples often go barefoot. And I wonder if they're not more in contact with nature than I am, closer to the earth than I am. You know, we live in climate-controlled houses and we drive in comfortable cars. We don't have to go barefoot. We've insulated ourselves from the earth. And as a result, it's hard for us to listen to the earth. You know, scientists tell us that the climate is changing, but we're really not close enough to the creation to notice it. I heard on the news that this July was the hottest July ever on record. It's certainly been warmer than other summers I remember. Heat records are being broken all over the world, and we just turn up the air conditioner a little more. Glaciers are melting, hurricanes and forest fires are more extreme. There's no question about it. You know, the science is clear, and yet we just turn up the air conditioner. God said to Moses, "Take off your shoes, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground." I think that the whole world is holy ground. You know, if we could only see it, if we could only feel it, we would understand that God is present everywhere. And there is no place that isn't holy ground. You know, we know now that everything is connected. If you dump pollution in the water here, it's going to affect water over there, and that's going to affect everything where that water flows. If we burn fossil fuels, it's going to heat up the planet and change everything. There's no place that's isolated or separated from this. Everything is connected. Every place is holy ground. The poet Wendell Berry said, "There are no unsacred places. There are only sacred places and desecrated places." I wonder if God isn't telling us to turn aside today. To turn aside means to stop what we're doing and pay attention. You know, if climate change isn't a burning bush, then I don't know what is. I think God is trying to get our attention. The poet Elizabeth Barrett Browning wrote this: "Earth is crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God. But only he who sees takes off his shoes. The rest sit round it and pick blackberries." So I wonder if God isn't asking us to take off our shoes and get in closer contact with the earth. And the earth is beautiful, provides everything we need: food and shelter and energy and life and warmth and love. And this planet is the only earth we have. Take a walk in the open air, work in your garden, hike in the mountains, smell the ocean, hug a child, look at the stars. These are blazing bushes all around us. The future of the earth is not just a scientific or practical question. The future of the earth is a spiritual issue. We can't afford to treat the earth like a thing anymore. We can't afford to treat the earth like a resource that can be mined and pumped and extracted and bought and sold and used up and thrown out. We can't afford that anymore. The earth is a living and breathing organism that we're part of. The earth has a spirit like we do, and we're part of that spirit, the spirit of creation. This world is God's world. It's holy ground. Well, today is the first Sunday of 5 Sundays of the season of creation, and we're going to be focusing our worship and our prayers on the season of creation for these 5 Sundays, ending on October 1st when we will celebrate St. Francis Day. St. Francis is known as the patron of the environment and of animals. So I'll close with these words from one of our favorite hymns. This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears all nature sings, and round me rings the music of the spheres. This is my Father's world, I rest me in the thought of rocks and trees, of skies and seas, his hand the wonders wrought.